Here, David, are we good to go?
And YouTube is live. So if you want to briefly cover this slide, and then I'll stop screen sharing while we kick it off.
Okay, beautiful. Welcome everyone to our review committee meeting for small purchases round 2 of the ARPA Nonprofit Capital Fund. This is a public meeting. It's streaming on YouTube. We want to make sure everyone's aware of that. And we've also provided a link on the screen if you would like to comment on the applications or the funding process or get in touch with us. And a note that anything you submit will be made public on our website.
So skip to the agenda.
Beautiful. So this is our outline for today. We're going to give you a little bit of an overview about this funding and introduce our external review committee, and they will then discuss their rank and review and make recommendations to the Board of County Commissioners for these proposals. We'll make public comments available, and then we'll wrap up. So we're going to introduce our team. My name is Jocelyn Howard. I'm the Senior Program Officer for ARPA work, and I will pass it over to David.
Great. I'm David Bender. I'm the Director of Grants and Operations here, and I help oversee all PCF's grant making.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Rose, and I am the Program Officer for ARPA.
And our CEO, Duggan Cooley, will be joining us later, and so he'll pop on.
Beautiful. So this is a quick overview of what we've asked our external review committee members. They looked through all eligible requests that were submitted to us in this small purchases grant track. And we asked the committee members to consider the overall community impact in addition to the impact on communities that were disproportionately impacted by the COVID pandemic. We were available throughout the review period to clarify any questions that they had around the applications, around what negative economic impact means, and around impact on clients. And we want to make clear that what the committee recommends today will be sent to the Board of County Commissioners for final review and approval. So these are recommendations until the board gives the stamp of approval to formally move forward the recommendations to awards. So a really quick overview of where these funds came from. This is from a federal stimulus package that was passed by Congress to provide pandemic relief to municipalities and to counties. So part of this funding went to Pinellas, about $189 million, of which they allocated $19 million to capital needs for nonprofits in our county. So this fund is provided through the generosity of Pinellas County and the Board of County Commissioners, and Pinellas Community Foundation, PCF, is administering the funds. So again, we are working in partnership with the county to administer this capital funding to nonprofits. And we divided this money into 2 grant-making tracks based on the project complexity. So small purchases, which is a track we'll be talking about today, and large projects. And large projects deal more with construction projects that can't be moved around. So each track has its own evaluation process and timeline. So again, today we're talking about round 2 of small purchases. So our reviewers reviewed 38 applications. About $2.7 million was requested in total, and we have 2.25 to recommend awards. So again, I mentioned that large projects has to do with construction, small capital purchases have to do with the acquisition of capital assets costing under $200,000 that can be moved around. So that's a vehicle, computer hardware, interior fixtures, solar panels, that type of thing. So in terms of Q&A, we are allowing committee members to ask applicants questions if they have any. If you are asked a question, please use the raise hand function and we'll unmute you. And we want to mention that responses to questions will be limited to 3 minutes per applicant. And it's very important please that you only answer the question posed. So this is not really an opportunity for you to add additional information or to advocate for your request. So now we're going to ask the committee to introduce themselves, and committee members, if you would please share your name, what you do, and just verbally affirm that you had no conflicts of interest in the process. So Kyle, I'll ask you to start.
Yeah, sure. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Kyle Hicks, and I am a GIS analyst by profession. So I specialize in geography and municipal asset management, more specifically. So I'm glad to be here, and I have no conflicts.
Thank you. Nicole.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nicole Roberts. I'm the Community Engagement Manager with the St. Petersburg Downtown Partnership. We're a nonprofit that's focused on the urban development of downtown St. Pete, and I have no conflicts of interest in this process.
Thank you so much. Riley, we'll move to you.
So, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Riley Randolph, currently in corporate marketing, although in a previous life, I was a former grant writer. So excited to be here and also no conflicts.
Thank you so much. Robert?
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Robert Yevich, and I'm the Director of Parks and Recreation for the town of Bel Air, which includes community engagement as well. And I was previously a school principal and teacher with the Diocese of St. Petersburg. No conflicts of interest on my end.
Thanks so much. And Debbie?
There we go. My name's Debbie Bushman. I'm the District Metro Coordinator for Pinellas County Schools, and I have no conflicts of interest.
Thanks so much.
Great. So I'll take it over now. We're now going to open it up for public comment. This is an opportunity if any attendees would like to make a public comment. You have 3 minutes. You would have 3 minutes to do so. If you would like to do that, please raise your hand on Zoom and we'll allow you to unmute and speak as we move into our agenda item of rank and review. Just give it a few seconds. I do see someone is calling in on Zoom. If you would like to raise your hand, you can press *9 and we'll also unmute you, just to give all attendees a chance if they need it. Wait about 15 more seconds. Okay, I think we're all set to start. So what I'm going to do now is pull up a sorted ranking sheet of the average scores. Particular to this grant process, Jocelyn, do you want to talk about bonus points for the priority areas that the commission set?
Sure. So the Board of County Commission set an amount of priority areas, and if applicants provided services that fit in those priority areas, they received 10 bonus points. So that was added on the back end. It was a small adjustment to scores, but that was to recognize the increased need in our county around those priority areas.
And those were individuals with disabilities, food security, specialized healthcare, which included mental health, dental care, and substance use disorders, and finally housing. So we took those into consideration when calculating scores. So I'm going to pop that up now. So again, there was 2.696 million requested. What we have done is drawn a line as to where the committee could fully fund all requests. That lands at just below Tampa Bay Watch, where it would be $2,224,148. As a reminder, you have 2.25 to recommend for award. So we'll kick it over now to our Chair Debbie to kind of begin deliberations.
All right, thank you everyone for joining us. We will be reviewing these and then making our recommendations. Do we have any comments from any of the reviewers, the grant reviewers? No questions, no comments or anything?
No questions for me. I just wanted to applaud all the applicants. I thought the applications were good. And yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to acknowledge that.
Thanks, Kyle. I want to second that. There were some incredible grant proposals and the different projects that were being requested. I'm looking forward to seeing those take place in the community, and hopeful that the proposals that we recommend we'll see the fruits of that in our community real soon. So, all right. So let me go ahead and so looking at the attachment that David said, I guess starting with number 1, we have St. Vincent de Paul. Any questions in regards to that proposal? None? All right. Let me do it this way, because David, I can go through each single one, or should I just
Given the kind of the large number,
yeah.
you don't necessarily have to go one by one.
Okay.
I would ask more, are there any of the line that are, you know, you have questions around, or any below the line that
okay,
a committee member would like to discuss? Kind of
that's
take
what
it
I
in those
was
chunks.
thinking. Okay, perfect. Any questions in regards to, say, the last, say, from 20 down to 30 in regards to any of those requests, and then moving from 31 to 38, any comments in regards to those? So we'll do the first 20 through 30. No comments? Now, David, is this also where anyone who is on here from the organization, can they state anything?
So that was, they would have
They've done that before.
If you have a direct question for them around their
Okay.
proposal, they can respond.
Got it. Okay. Did anyone have any direct questions, like when you were looking over the grants, any questions or concerns in regards to any of the ones in that 20 to 30 range? I don't see anybody raising their hand. Let me double check. All right. No. All right. So let's move on to the ones below the line. Did anybody have any questions in regards to scoring or anything? I know a couple of them, they weren't in alignment with what the purpose of the grant, but that didn't mean that they were excluded. So this is an opportunity for us as the reviewers to discuss anything and make any comments. Riley, I saw you unmute yourself. Are you?
Yes, I did just want to, and David, let me know if this isn't an appropriate question, but I did want to get the committee's thoughts on rebuilding together Tampa Bay. I thought the application was very strong, and I was interested to see it be below the line.
Totally appropriate.
Okay. So do any of my fellow, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I could just speak to my criteria. I think that the application was good. The request, at least according to my reading of the application, was more for administrative office equipment that wouldn't be used to directly provide services to a population. You know, it was for the office staff to have better computers. So I scored it a little bit lower on those community need type categories. I thought the application was well written and strong. It just didn't, the capital purchase itself wouldn't be used to directly provide services to the population. It would be for administrative support staff. If there's anybody on from that organization, I'd love to hear if there was a different intent for it.
Does
I
anyone,
also had a couple of questions when I reviewed it. How many computers do they currently own and how old are they? And what was the estimated lifespan of the computers?
so we have how many computers currently owned? Do you mean lifespan of the currently owned or the new ones?
I believe the new ones.
Okay.
It would be, yeah, what is the lifespan of the new ones?
And then Kyle, your question?
Yeah, I guess my question was the way I described that, would those computers be used to provide, direct support to the population that they serve, or would they just be used for their administrative staff to kind of better manage their organization?
Great. So we have a person that raised their hand before you all started talking about this application. Is anyone from Rebuilding Together Tampa Bay here? If not, I'll unmute Bonnie, who has had her hand raised. No, she lowered it. Okay. Okay. Bonnie, are you by chance from?
No, I'm from Freedom Sailing.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna lower your hand then.
Just to add to the conversation, I mean, Riley, to your point, of the ones below the line, that was, I think, my highest rated that were below the line. But to Kyle's point, I also think that I viewed similarly some of your questions, which is why it wasn't my strongest rating, but at the same time, Riley, it was, I did think it was a strong submission as well. So.
And I echo a lot of Kyle's comments. I think I see the need for that request, but just looking at the reasoning behind it, it seems like it's more for administrative work and not necessarily addressing the needs of the community impacted by COVID. So that was the reason I kind of ranked it lower as well.
So it doesn't look like anyone is here. If you would all like to talk about it more or move on, it's up to you.
Any other comments or statements, questions in regards to that proposal?
Well, I mean, I certainly don't know how the group feels as a whole, but I mean, with that being said, the amount requested, there's a little bit left over, correct? $26,000 between.
It's like
to the line, it was 2,224,000 and some change, and the amount to give was 2.250.
yeah, let me check.
I just wanted to, maybe to Riley's point, it was a small ask, so to consider that. Small in comparison.
Can you show the dollar amount again?
Yeah, just 1 second.
I say I have it here. It's 15,954, I believe.
I would be supportive of granting the request if we had enough money within the budget, allotted budget to do so.
All right. Anyone else?
Yeah, I think definitely if we have further conversation and there are other applications that we'd like to move around, I would definitely like to move this application above the line if possible.
David, do you all do that? I mean, we're able to do that?
Yeah, give me about 1 minute to do spreadsheet work.
Okay, no problem. Appreciate it.
Oh, we have a minute. I want to say thanks, Debbie, for being the chair. It's not, it's
You're
not an
welcome.
easy job, so I appreciate you volunteering.
Yeah. I appreciate, thanks. Rose or Jocelyn, maybe you can answer this question. So when do these recommendations go to the board?
We will publicize that as soon as we know for sure.
Okay,
So as soon as, it could be as soon as early June. But we will confirm with everyone, including all the organizations, once we have that for sure.
Rose or Jocelyn, would you like us to continue with other applications while David is working his Excel magic?
I'm almost there.
Oh, okay.
There's $25,851 left.
okay.
I will,
So as a committee, we can make a recommendation for that proposal to be moved into the ones that are being recommended.
yes, as a committee, you can.
Okay,
Yes, yeah.
okay. And
Well,
it,
and I would
oh, go ahead, Riley.
I would just say too, we can kind of keep it on the back burner and then we can go through further discussion. And if there is an application that we feel needs to be moved in, you know, and that sort of thing, we can kind of take that into consideration as
I
well.
was
So
just gonna ask, are we allowed to partially fund the
yes,
project as well?
yes,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. All right. So why don't we do this in regards to, so we talked about rebuilding together. Any of the other any of the other proposals that anyone would like to look into and talk about maybe a partial award for their proposal? Why don't we go ahead and we'll just go in order. So Evergreen Life Services. And I'm opening mine up real quick so I can make sure. Anybody have any questions, comments in regards to, so they're seeking funding for transportation. I'll go ahead and read what their proposal description, is that okay?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. So I'm pulling it up. I think this is it. Sorry.
Maybe I just wanted to mention as well, it may feel more like a flow for the committee members if you focus on the organizations that collectively scored above the funding line, and that will help you determine, you know, if there are leftover funding and how much, and then you can move down into the ones below. That
Okay, that makes
that's
sense.
a recommendation.
Yep,
Mhm.
I appreciate that. Okay. So we'll go back up to 20. And we'll start with Advantage Village Academy. And I'm trying to see what their proposal was for. So it was individuals with disabilities program. And let's see, their proposal was $66,000. Oh no, yep. $66,000 and some change. And I'm in the portal, so it's taking me a little bit. I apologize. So their proposal is to purchase a commercial vehicle, and it will allow them to better serve their the individuals that they serve, people with disabilities, veterans, elderly, low to moderate income families. This is the one where they were, I believe, doing outsourced transportation, which was costing them $20,000 annually. So any questions from any of the committee members?
I have a couple questions.
Sure.
I really supported this proposal and thought it was really well put together.
Mhm.
But if there was a representative from that organization, I did have questions as to if other funding sources were explored for the purchase of the van and if that maintenance has been factored into the budget moving forward.
So we have Toriano Parker from Advantage Village Academy.
Yes. How you doing there?
Hello.
I'm sorry. Okay, go. What's your questions you have?
So my questions were if other funding sources were explored for your purchase and if you all have factored in maintenance fees and costs once the van is purchased.
Yes. So we did factor in the maintenance to the fact that we already have the process already in working now. So we have a good figuratively what it is to take a vehicle down, to maintenance it, service it, tire pressure check, oil, everything else that. So we put that factor in there in addition to with the new acquisition, the fully making sure in our acquisition that we had a full ready to go purchase. Warranty in the purchase to force the freight from some of the costs that we already kind of currently accrue by the service we have, that will no longer be that. So that should cut that maintenance cost down by some of these things being bumper to bumper, tire to tire warranty. So therefore it wouldn't cost the organization any additional money for some even the minor things that can actually go down with the vehicle.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that information.
You're welcome. No problem.
Any other questions from the committee? None? All right. Thank you, Mr. Parker.
Problem.
All right, so the next one, can you show that spreadsheet again, David? Thanks. Well, I can't read that. I gotta enlarge my screen. Community service.
I can zoom.
Oh, okay. Got it. So Community Service Foundation. And their request is for almost $65,000. Any questions from any of the committee members in regards to that proposal? So theirs was affordable housing preservation. And what just happened here? I hit the wrong thing. Does anyone have any questions? I'm going to pull this up real quick. I'll read the proposal description. And then if you all have any questions for anyone in the organization. So here we go. All right, so this is to address the county's critical need to preserve affordable housing and to equip CSF maintenance team with operating vehicles that facilitate their servicing its residents in 70 properties throughout Pinellas County that were delayed in service or receiving services due to COVID-19. Their proposal is to purchase 2 used maintenance vehicles and a trailer to replace they're broken down in unsafe vehicles. So I don't want to read the whole thing, but any questions? So I don't have any questions. So are we all good with that proposal? All right.
Debbie, I wanted to mention as well
yes.
that it's totally appropriate for you to ask kind of as a batch for the organizations above the funding line if folks have any comments, so that you don't have to go one by one.
Oh, perfect. Okay. So, okay, perfect. So are there any questions in regards to any, well, from this point, 22 down to 30? Any questions in regards to any of those proposals?
I did want to take a moment to talk about Creative Pinellas. I did see a few discrepancies or a few things in their application, and so I just wanted to review with the committee why they ranked the way they did and the positives they saw in the applications.
Okay, go ahead. So in regards to discrepancies, did you want to go over
Yes.
those?
So I know they marked that they were serving a priority population. When I was reviewing the application, I didn't necessarily see that articulated throughout the application. So that was one of the points that I would like to discuss. Also, declining the leadership demographics was also a little interesting to me as well. And so there were a few different pieces that I kind of put in my notes. And so if there was anything that the committee would like to speak to with that application.
All right. Thank you, Riley. Anyone have any comments or questions in regards to Riley's concerns?
I know I'd also noted that their purchase request didn't seem entirely related to the negative impacts of COVID-19. So I wasn't sure. So I agree with you, Riley. I was surprised to see it ranked so high up.
And just correct.
In
me if I'm
addition,
wrong. Sorry, go ahead.
real quick, in addition, the bids that were submitted were from September of 2022, so they were extremely outdated. So that was another red flag of the application.
That was one of my observations when reviewing that proposal. I did talk with Jocelyn in regards to that, and Jocelyn, you want to go ahead and explain what they did? Or David?
Yeah, just because so they had directly asked PCF staff about the struggles to get bids. We've seen throughout this process the whole time there's a struggle to get bids. They verbally confirmed with the vendors any price increases, and it was up to 5%. And so they were instructed to attach the bids with the note that they had spoken with vendors and had incorporated that price increase into the proposal, knowing they would also be responsible if recommended and ultimately awarded any increase beyond that. They would be financially responsible for it. We would not cover it.
Right.
All right.
Right.
And going back to what Riley mentioned in regards to the leadership, leadership demographics, I believe you mentioned that they refused or they did not answer that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just looking that over real quick.
Yeah, I noticed that they did mark some categories, but so they marked like 2 of the categories listed and then 1 declined to state. So I gave them the full amount of points as they had marked those other categories.
Right. So yeah, there was diversity in their board and their executive leadership team. And then on their the CEO, executive director, the answer selected was none of the above.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? Did anyone have a question directly to the organization?
No, I also question though just the alignment to the COVID-19 impact as well, similar to Nicole. Or rather, let me say, I thought part of it was better aligned than the other part, the awning more so than the audio visual equipment.
All right. If no other questions, then we'll go ahead and move on to the next one. All right.
So if there are any others in this batch that there are questions about.
So any other questions in regards to 22 and to 30? I actually, I did have a question, and it was in regards to perk. I saw that Michael Gelazzo was on there, and it was part of the request for staffing. Does anyone? I got to pull that up real quick.
I can pull it up quickly.
I did see one organization that had staffing listed on their small budget spreadsheet, the small capital budget spreadsheet, but it looked like the funding source was matched funding, not the ARPA grant itself.
Okay.
Yes, I can confirm. There was admin listed. I'll share my screen real quick, but it was not billed in a column.
Okay.
Oh, just sharing screen for confirmation
All right.
of that.
I did have a question about the number 25, Seniors in Service of Tampa Bay. As I was reading through the application, I had in my notes that this was another one of those where the computers seemed to be helpful for the administration of the organization, but not necessarily providing direct relief to the community served. I was wondering if anybody else noted anything about that application.
I had similar notes on that application.
I want to mention that the funding allows for that as long as the organization has shown that the folks that it serves and that itself was impacted. So just want to make sure that that is clear, that that is allowed in the funding philosophy.
All right. Thanks. I appreciate the clarification.
Yeah, thanks for the clarification.
Yep. Anybody else? Questions in regards to the number 25, Seniors in Service? None? All right. Any other questions in regards to any of these before we move on to the request below the line?
I did have a quick question for
Okay.
Family Resources.
Okay.
The application didn't look like it said which van they were going to move forward with. And so I know one was above the $50,000 request and one was below the $50,000 request. So what those funds either would be redistributed to if they went with the cheaper van, or if they went with the van that exceeded the $50,000 request, where those funds would come from. And I don't believe, I can double check their budget, but I don't believe there was any match information in that as well.
All right.
If anyone is here from Family Resources to let us know which van will be planned on. And again, if you're calling in, you can dial *9 if you're from that organization.
Yeah, I had some notes on it. Mine were needed further budget explanation and justification for the proposal cost. Do we have anyone on here from the organization, David?
No one has raised their hand.
Okay.
I will say the bids they submitted did include sales tax. That would be exempt, correct? They would be exempted from that. And so I believe it would drop both bids below the $50,000 line. And it would not be redistributed to other items. Grantees are really only allowed to purchase the items in their budget as proposed.
So that brings up the question, because there were a couple of bids, and I'd have to go back and look, but I believe they did include the tax and title in their request. So are they responsible for that, and they would be awarded the lower amount?
They will be able to title. The only thing that they couldn't get is tax, and we will make sure with them before they complete the purchase that they're not subject to sales tax, that they've got the proper exemptions in place.
Okay.
But if for some reason that happens and they do pay, even though we've suggested that they not, then we cannot pay them for that.
Okay.
And so we let them know that. And as David said too, so if money is not spent, if you award something and the funds are not fully spent, then those will get distributed. The cost savings there will get distributed to other parts of the ARPA funding that we're working on. Organizations can't repurpose that for something else generally.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions in regards to any of what was just stated? So are we good with that proposal? Is everyone okay with? Okay, great. So let's move on to, so Jocelyn, would you recommend that below the line we go through each one at this point?
So it sounds like you're all in agreement for the 30 organizations that have scored highly enough to be above the line. Debbie, if you want to kind of confirm that with your committee,
Yep.
you could
Okay.
move to making a motion to fund those. You could then discuss partial funding with the leftover funds.
Okay.
Kind of up to you how you want to approach that, but it, I think, would make sense to
Okay.
focus on the 30 organizations
Sure.
that you feel strongly about first.
Okay. So are we in agreement with the organizations above the line to fully fund those projects? Thank you, David.
Yes, I'm comfortable with that.
All right. Why don't we do the raised hand so that the foundation can see? How about that? Is that okay? I'm trying to find my, where is, I'm going to raise my hand. I can't find my.
We'll count them out for you. It looks like Kyle, Nicole, Riley, Robert, and Debbie, you're raising your hand physically. So looks like everybody.
Okay, perfect. So we are in agreement to fully fund 1 through 30. Perfect. All right. So now going on to the organizations below the line in regards to possibly partial funding, with the remainder, which David mentioned was just above $25,000. We had discussed rebuilding. Was it rebuilding Tampa Bay as one to consider because of the possibly fully funding that one? But are there any of the proposals from 31 through 38 that, well, we'll just start with Evergreen. And their request was for $70,000. And I'm going to open that up. Any questions at this time in regards to that one? And I will read the proposal description. I'm just pulling it up, and it is for transportation. And let me see. All right, so they would like to purchase a 10-person van. The economic impact COVID continues to have on ELSFL is limiting their ability to expand the services. And a key element to these services is transportation. The people with I/DD do not have their own transportation and must depend on public transportation or transportation that is arranged for them. And I won't read the full. Well, let me pause real quick. Would you like me to read the full? It's a little bit more. Are you all okay if I read the full description? Or do you, I'll read it.
I was gonna say, you can take these as a group if you all wanted to, and see if there is something that, you know, with the remaining money that you were most interested in funding. And that's perfectly fine too.
Okay, that's great. Okay. So does anyone have any comments in regards to any other organization? So we're going to go ahead and look at the organizations below the line. Collectively, it's a group. Again, we did discuss the rebuilding proposal. Oh, for some reason I'm toggling between different screens, and I've there we go. Any questions, comments? There we go.
Yeah, I would say motion to move Rebuilding Together Tampa Bay above the line.
Okay.
At fully funded.
Right. So Riley is recommending that we fully fund that proposal. Do we have any other, do we have a second to that?
I would second that.
Okay, we have a second from Robert. All in favor?
Aye.
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 That looks like everybody.
Okay.
Nicole, were you a yes?
I was a yes, sorry.
Okay. That's
Perfect.
good. Thank you.
Let me just reformat.
Were there any other proposals? So there, I think that leaves maybe another 17 available. No, that's not adding up. 7 or 8,000 available.
David will
right?
do the math.
I think it's just under 10,000, 9,896, I think.
Okay. Any other recommendations for partial funding? And I see there's a chat, David. Does
Someone has their hand raised. I'm just making sure we haven't skipped over
okay.
someone question wise.
Okay.
Mhm.
And I know we stated this earlier, there were, all the proposals were really good, and it was hard to, I wish there was funding for every single one of them.
I'll second that as well.
David, did you have a final number on there?
Working on it.
Thank you very much. And then I can check with Jocelyn too. Jocelyn, if there is remaining money that the committee doesn't necessarily think it would be helpful to allocate, that can go into large projects round 2, correct?
Correct. So it's fine if you decide not to allocate every dollar with this. It will roll forward into another round of funding and be available to nonprofits for their capital needs. So that's a totally appropriate way to move forward as well.
All right.
There we go.
There's about 9,800, not about, there is $9,896.38. And that's in this cell up here.
Oh, great. All right. Can you go to the ones below the line?
So you may want to consider the amount remaining compared to the size of the requests that are.
Yeah, I was thinking, I mean, I don't know, for
Mm.
some, they didn't, their budgets were limited, so I don't think even a partial would be beneficial. And are we okay with recommending that the remaining balance go undistributed and put back into whatever round will be in the next round? Is that correct?
Yes,
I
that
can-
would be correct, Debbie.
I'll second that. I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, who did the first? I missed it.
My
You-
motion.
Riley. Okay. And then Kyle was the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Awesome.
Looks like everybody again.
Yeah.
So I'll pop up the recommendations one last time just for everyone to see.
I have to say again, reading through these, I look forward to visiting some of the organizations and those vehicles that are being purchased. I look forward to seeing those out on the roads and helping our community and the people that they serve.
Well, we really appreciate all of your engagement with us. This external committee put a lot of time and care into both reviewing the applications and into your discussion today. So we just really want to recognize that. And like we spoke about earlier on, the next step here is that these recommendations that you have made will move forward to the Board of County Commissioners. We'll be in touch with everyone to confirm when that will be, when the board will actually be voting on those. And it's only at that time that these become formal awards. So just want to remind organizations
These
as
are
well that even if you were
recommendations.
recommended for funding today, to please not start spending money until we're through that Board of County Commission meeting. So I'll pass it on to anyone else from the PCF team to wrap it up.
And I just want to thank you all. I unfortunately got on a little late today, but I do know what it takes to go through all the applications and then make sure that you've taken the time and due diligence to score everything, read everything. And I want to thank you for that effort as well. It takes a lot, and we appreciate you investing the time to be with us and to do that on behalf of all these organizations and on behalf of the community as well, so that we have great recommendations that are going forward to the Board of County Commissioners. And David wanted me to remind everyone too that we do have one agenda item remaining, and that's public comment for items not on the agenda. So when we're kind of done and wrap this up, then we can just make sure we call for public comment for items not on the agenda. If anybody has anything to say, that would be about the general ARPA process, not these individual deliberations. Folks are welcome to speak to that. And thank you, Debbie, for chairing today.
You're welcome.
Appreciate you spending the time to do that for sure.
Yeah, you're welcome. It was a pleasure. Again, thank you for allowing us to be part of the process.
All right. Do we want to?
Someone
take
with their
the-
hand raised.
Yeah, there's Janet Roman has a hand raised, but we also will take comment from folks for public comment for items not on the agenda. If anybody has any additional public comment for us to put into the record.
Well, thank you guys very much for taking my question. And I represent Restoring Life Outreach. We were one that was just under the cutoff, missed it by 1.23%. And I'm just curious for future funding opportunities. Was there anything specific? You guys took such detailed notes. Was there anything specific that we were lacking or was not clear to the committee so that we could improve upon that in the future?
So, I can we'll be sending out all the written comments that the committee had, as well as the averages of the scores that you got we can send you the averages of the scores you got. I don't know if there's more, Duggan.
Yeah, I was going to say, because once those comments are out, our team is also very happy from a technical assistance standpoint to continue working with organizations to see if there's anything that you could improve in the application for the future. And those comments that we did get from the committee, we will share those so that you can see if there's anything in particular that would be helpful. But then our team is welcome to work with you if anything they spot on the application or based on the comments from the committee that we can help you strengthen for the future. We're happy to do that.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And if for some chance one of those top 30 are not funded, would those of us right there at the line be moved up possibly?
Generally, what has happened with the Board of County Commissioners is that any additional dollars that might come because of that have gone into future processes. And so we've got a round 2 for large projects that will be coming up, but that will not open until the Board of County Commissioners approves recommendations that are before them right now that they're supposed to consider at the beginning of June. That is probably where those dollars will go in the future. So that might be an opportunity of something that you want to look at when that opens up as well.
Perfect. Thank you so very much for your comments.
You're welcome. Great. Looks like no other hands are raised for any other public comment. So I think that's it. All right. Well, thank you all very much. This has been wonderful and appreciate your time and investment. And then our folks will be reaching out. I think we'll do a survey as well, probably about participation on the committee. So if there's any suggestions you might have for us or anything you want to share that help us improve this process for the future or improve that for you, if you were deciding to participate in the future, we'd be happy to hear from you as well. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.